Well, I want to welcome everybody to our team call tonight. I got an exciting guest tonight. The Nerium Cowboy himself is with us. Tonight's topic is prospecting, and the intention here is, we're in the home stretch of the month, and we have this double bonus program going on right now. And what I want is everybody to take advantage of that. But I know that in order to take advantage of that, you have to really be out there prospecting and doing three-way calls and recruiting. So I asked George to spend some time with us to kind of paint the vision of how do we talk to prospects about Nerium and how do we capture their attention so that you guys can grow your team. Because at the end of the day, your success in Nerium is all about growing your team. We want to grow customers, but we also want to grow our business builders. So, George, first, let me say thanks for being here tonight, man.
You bet, totally. And just fair warning to everyone, Terry did not go over any questions with me, just said he was going to shoot me some questions. So this is all going to be from the hip, which I think is the way Terry likes to roll.
Yeah, well, I sent an email out, and I actually had one person respond with some questions, and that is Rose. So Rose, I'm going to kick this thing off with one of your questions. And George, one of the things that Rose asked was, when you're prospecting and a person doesn't want to give you their information, how do you turn that around so they actually give you some information so we can send them a third-party tool?
So I'm guessing that's somebody you don't really know that well. That's just a total blind prospect, yeah?
Yep.
Is that how you understand?
Yep.
First thing, I'm going to go back to a couple of basics first because they'll help answer that question. First of all, anybody can do this. It's really, really easy if you just keep it to 3 steps. And that's really what I try and do. I learned years and years and years ago that the power to having success in this industry is to have a system. And for me, I've always gone by 3-step systems, just step 1, step 2, step 3. And my 3-step process on prospecting is always step 1 is to create interest. Step 2 is to send them a video, or they watch a video and I give them the product. But either way, they're going to get the video. And the reason for that is you're like, well, if you give them the product, why do you give the video? Do you always have to do a video? You always have to do a video no matter what, because they have to have a reason as to why they're smearing this stuff on their face. So the video explains a lot to them, creates more interest, gives them reason to want to try it, and shares the value of the product. And then step 3 is a 3-way call. That's the only process I've used to build this business. It's still exactly what I do. And so if they're not wanting to give you their information, you didn't do step 1 well enough. You didn't create enough interest for them. And when I say create interest for them, that's what I mean instead of create interest with them. When step 1 is absolutely critical. You've got to, whether it's your best friend or somebody that you met at Starbucks or pumping gas, doesn't matter. You have to have their best interest in mind. It has to be about them. And so if they're not wanting to give you their information, I don't think, a creative way to get that information is really the answer. I think the answer is honestly, just basically say, okay, cool. Hey, I really appreciate it. If you, would like more information, I'm looking for a sharp leader like yourself. Here's my information. Give it to them and go. But when you get back in your car or wherever you're at, off the phone with them, whatever, think to yourself, how could I have created more interest with them? How could I have made them want to give me their information? So that's really the way to overcome it, is get better at the 3-step process.
So let's talk a little bit about what you just said there, because I think that is key. How do you paint a picture, and what do you say? Because everybody wants to know the exact words to say, and we know there are no exact words to say. But how do you create something that's compelling where somebody you really don't know does want to learn more? What questions do you ask, or how do you share Nerium so that it really captures their attention, George?
I don't know that there's any silver bullet. I mean, I have lots of ways I do it, but it's based on a lot of factors. One, it's because I've listened to what a lot of other people say, and I take what I like and I kind of use it. I mumble over the words, and eventually I kind of start owning it. And that, we get lots of great information off of whether it be Nerium U or from the corporate update calls and the testimonials on there, or the senior director calls, or going to events and regionals, or going to the NLA like Raylene just came from. All those things, you get those answers, but it just comes with practice. So, sometime years and years ago, I read a book of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And quite honestly, it just gets you to focus on their best interest. If you truly care about them, regardless if it's your best friend or somebody you just thought was really, really sharp and you met them and you really liked them and you'd really want to help them out by them seeing Nerium and how to improve their life, you've got to identify with that, with why you want to help them, why you're excited for them. And it doesn't matter if it's somebody you've known for 5 minutes or somebody you've known for 15 years. You have to come from a place of being for their best interest. So, great friends of mine, I pretty much use the same thing every time. A sincere compliment as to why I thought of them. Let them know that I found something I'm really excited about. Then I do a takeaway. Takeaway is saying something like, hey, I don't know if this is for you or not, because that takes all the pressure off of them. You're no longer trying to sell them. It just actually accentuates the fact that you're looking out for their best interest, but you're not trying to sell them. You just want to share some information with them. I don't know if this is for you or not, but I've found something that you really need to take a serious look at. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to do it myself. Again, I don't know if it's for you or not. Watch this video. I think you owe it to yourself to at least watch this 20-minute video. And if it's not for you, totally cool. The reason that I called you, or the reason I'm talking to you, is because you're one of the first 5 people I thought of who I knew could absolutely crush this. I'm super excited about it, and I'm just sharing with a handful of my closest friends. So take that, change it up for a person you're talking to. Hey, I can tell you're really sharp. Our company's growing super, super fast. We're looking for some great leaders in this area. And I'd just like to send you a short video, and you take a look at it. If it's something you're interested in, I'm really good friends with some of the top leaders in the company. We are looking for some really sharp people, and I don't know, this may be a fit, and I'd love to connect you. Whatever it takes, but it's about their best interest.
So that video you send them is which video?
Usually the Nerium experience, one of the 20-minute, like a 20-minute overview. It depends if it's something that, if we got talking about, something to do with only EHT specific or something, then I'm going to send them more of an EHT specific, but I'll probably still send them the Nerium experience. I'll still edify what Nerium has been doing, what its track record is, why it's on such a growth path, and why it's the perfect time for them to take a serious look at this. And that's kind of what I do to create interest and kind of tell a little bit of the story by trying to keep my talking to just a couple of minutes, 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. So let's say you have that conversation and they express an interest, and this could be true for somebody you know or somebody you don't know. You ask them, if they're interested, they say yes. You send them the video, and you ask them when's a good time to follow up, and you call at that, specific day or time that you agreed to, and they're not there. What do?
You create interest. I mean, it's always step one is always creating interest.
No, I'm saying you've done that. They've said, yes, send it to me. And then you set up a follow-up appointment, and then they're not there. This is my question. How do you?
Right. No, I understand. I haven't fully answered. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
So you leave a message, but you create interest. You don't, hey, we had a 7:00 call at 7:01, and, I'm just calling you. They know that they missed it. Don't make them feel like shit. Life gets in the way. So instead I say, hey, Bill, I know we had a 7:00 call tonight. I just wanted to follow up with you. I know that things come up. I got to tell you, there's been some really exciting developments. I just got the phone with Terry. Really want to introduce the two of you. If you want more information, this thing is really rocking. Please let me know when we can catch up. Here's my number. Give me a shout back when you can, and have a great night.
Okay. So you don't hear from him. How long do you wait before you reach out again?
I probably don't reach out to him again.
Okay.
I mean, I'm honest. I mean, that goes again. Here's my problem with doing these calls and being, doing this stuff with you, Terry, is I tell you the truth about what I do. I don't tell you what you're supposed to say or what everyone else says. There are probably better processes, but I just tell you what I do. I'm not trying to hunt down every single person. I'm looking for motivated people. If they're not motivated enough, or if I haven't created enough interest with them, I don't want to convince them in the business, because then I'm going to have to convince them to do everything after that point. And they're going to hold me responsible for their failure, which is pretty much inevitable if they don't have any self-reliance or self-motivation. So I say next, but I mean, that's me. That's just being honest. I'm not saying that's the right answer. Probably not something Jeff Olson ever wants out on that's the reason I'm not on stage or I'm not on any calls. But but it's what I do, and I'm just being real with you.
No, I appreciate that. And, I want you to, because, we all have different styles. We all have different approaches. And my intention here is to help everybody get to understand you and your approach. You are an amazing leader. You have great character. You're humble. You're no BS, and you tell it like it is. But the nugget really that you shared, and I want to make sure everybody gets that, is basically my interpretation of what George says is, look for people who are looking for what we have. Don't be chasing people or hounding people. That's no fun for you, and it's no fun for the prospect, because they know that they told you one thing and they're doing another thing, and for whatever reason, there's no interest. So I think it's really, really important to look for those individuals. Now, when you are product prospecting, you give somebody the product and they, express an interest. When do you do a three-way call, or is it weird to do a three-way call with a customer who's, expressed an interest in the product and is actually trying the product?
No, I don't think it's weird at all. Again, if your approach is for their best interest. So for me personally, the way I had to do that was figure out what a great excuse was for their best interest, make sure that the person I was doing the three-way call with understood how I was posturing it, so I didn't look like a goofball to the person I was, to either party. And once, Dell understood that, Kathy understood that, the couple people that I do my three-way calls with, at least when I was getting started, because those two and Mark Smith are my only three upline. And Mark Smith wasn't available, so I'm just saying I used Dell and Kathy, okay? So what I'd let Dell and Kathy know is, hey, I've got Sarah. I think she's really sharp. She seemed to be, not as much interested maybe in the business right off, or had a significant interest in trying the product herself first. So I gave her the product. Here's what I'm going to do. She's had it for 3 days. I'm going to call her up. I'm going to touch base. I'm going to let her know that a friend of mine is really an expert with how to maximize results from the product. And there's some things that, number one, maybe I didn't know, or number two, I know that I didn't share with her. Wondering if she'd be available for 15 minutes at some point next couple days for me to get her on the phone with my friend who really understands the product to make sure she gets the absolute maximum results with it.
Okay, cool.
And so that's how I did it. And I'd put, Dell or Kathy on. The primary focus was on the product. Myself, Dell, Kathy, you, Val, Sherry. I mean, pretty much all of us are kind of cut from the same cloth, and it doesn't matter if we're only supposed to be talking about the product. We're so excited about the business. We can't keep our mouth shut about that, so the business usually comes up. But there wasn't any saying them come in with this approach and a fast switch or anything like that. It just kind of natural progression, always in their best interest.
Okay, good. So let's say somebody is interested in the business. They do watch the video. They're excited about it, but they don't have the money to get started. How do you work with them and help them?
Man, I've done everything, Terry. I mean, I've done it all. I've paid for friends and family to get started because I believed them, and I really believe it's just a money thing. I'll tell you that 0 times out of 25 or 30, I mean, I've done it a lot, way too many times took this cowboy a long time to learn the lesson that I should have learned the first time. They don't do anything. It doesn't matter. They don't do anything. If they don't put their money in, they don't do it. I've helped problem solve with a couple of them. Say, hey, maybe, is there something you can sell? Is there some money that you have coming? Is there a way that you could see getting this money? Because I don't want you to miss out on this business over not having $500. We've got to find a way for you to come up with $500. That has worked better than anything else. Mm-hmm. That's actually worked the best. And every one of those situations is different. Right. But paying people or paying somebody's way in, no matter if it's family, friend, whatever, has absolutely never, ever worked for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree 100% on that one. Okay, let's look at the other side of it. Somebody's interested. They watch the video. They're intrigued by it, but they say, I'm too busy and I just don't have time. How do you respond to that?
And that really depends a lot on my relationship with them. I mean, my good friend, I said this the other night on the call because it's totally true and because it's what I did, but a good friend of mine, I'll call them out on their bullshit. I mean, I say those terms and I talk to them cowboy to cowboy and I just say, hey, look, we've been friends for way too long. Everything you're doing, I've seen you do. I also have great hopes for the future for you. And I know you've got some things going on where you're hoping things turn around. But at some point, you've got to look in the mirror and realize that, banging your head against this wall is not getting you where you want to be. This does work. You need to take a few minutes. You need to set aside some time. It doesn't take that long. Get your questions answered. Find out what the system is from my buddy Dell. Because if it took a stupid amount of time, I couldn't be doing it either. But as busy as I am, I found a way to do this, and it's turned out to being super successful for me. You don't even know what you don't know. Just take a look at this.
Okay. So just really challenge them to explore it and see how it could work around their life and around their schedule.
Yeah. I mean, any excuse is a good excuse. I mean, every excuse is the same in my book.
Yeah.
Where they say they don't have the money or they don't have the time or they this or they that or the other. They're just trying to, a lot of times they're just trying to duck the conversation. Mm-hmm. So the closer friend they are, the easier it is to say, in a roundabout way, are you telling me the truth or are you BSing me? You give them that option, they're always going to say, no, I'm telling you the truth because now their ego's involved in it and their integrity's involved in it. But I like warm market way better than cold market because I know these people and I can call them on their BS and just say, look, I care about you. I'm not trying to sell you by not accepting that. I just don't want you to miss this, and that's why I'm not accepting it. So Don't let me step on your toes to a point that I frustrate you or I do anything to our friendship. That's not my point. Everything about this is because I want to help you. I love you. I care about you. I know that this is real. I know this is better than the path that you're on. I just want you to take a serious look at it. If you talk to Dell for 15, 20 minutes, get your questions answered, and you say, no, this isn't for me, totally cool. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to crush this thing. I am going to make a lot of money. There's a reason I called you is because I think you're one of the best people I could to have success with me, and I want this for you.
I like that. That I think right there is very, very key. You mentioned you like warm market better than cold market. Do you ever do any cold calling?
Yeah, I'm forced to sometimes. I purchase. Well, I purchased leads, and you know how that went. You did also, Terry, and I've made a lot of money in the past doing cold market, doing leads with other companies. That's how I made my money in the industry and was able to retire for a number of years from this industry. But it's just so much different. It's a lot easier when you know the people, or when maybe they're not your personal friend, but they're a friend of a friend. When you have somebody's best interest in mind that you know, there's a credibility factor. There's a relationship factor. There's more at stake. You're going to spend more time with them when they come in. A cold person, I don't know very many people who, even if they're successful at recruiting a lot of cold market people, actually have a lot of those cold market people go on to be successful. Because you're not going to follow up with them as much. You're not going to be as intent on doing every step of the new brand partner training. You're not going to be as intent of every aspect as if it's your best friend from school and you don't, or, you know, whatever in life, and you just don't want them to fail at this.
Right.
I don't know if that answers your question or not. But yeah, I do. I mean, I get, as an NMD, I get a few emails a week, maybe 2, 3 at most in a week, sometimes 2 or 3 a month. It just kind of depends. From the company saying, hey, this is a person who reached out to the company, Nerium. They're looking for more information. We're passing it on to you. Very rarely do those work out for me.
Right.
Maybe it's because I'm absolutely terrible with them. I mean, obviously they had a good amount of interest enough, but I'll be real straightforward with you on that too. Most of the time, it's somebody who heard about Nerium from a friend of theirs, went to the Nerium.com website to do some more due diligence because they didn't really trust to get that information from their friend, put in their information. I call them. I ask them how they heard about Nerium. They're like, well, my friend is doing it. They told me about it. I wanted to do some more due diligence, whatever. I'm like, well, do you actually like your friend? And they're like, oh, yeah, I've known him a long time. I'm like, then don't piss them off by doing business with me over there. It's a great company. Call them up. Tell them that you want some more information. Here's the system that they should put you through. Here's the system that you should ask for them, because maybe they're a newbie. Maybe they're going to, they don't have the direction. So I help the person out. Tell them that you want to see the Nerium experience video. Tell them that you want to see the EHT launch video. And after you've watched those, you want to talk to whoever answered their questions and get them started, so that you're hearing from somebody who's going to be helping you out other than your friend.
Right.
And that's what I do with most of those leads. Most of those leads are not somebody who just happened to it. Most of them know somebody in Nerium, and they just turned out to be a lead, and so that's what I do.
Yeah, okay. Let's say you kind of know somebody, you don't really have a personal relationship, you know of them, and you get into a position where you feel like you want to approach them. Do you lead with the product or the business?
I always lead with the business.
Why?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's my best friend or somebody who's a referral 5 steps of separation away. I am way more geared up about helping somebody become financially free than losing 2 wrinkles off their face. I mean, that's just me.
I love it. That's fantastic. And it's very, very true. That's who you are is what you're passionate about. And I think that's a very valuable lesson. There's no right or wrong answer if you want to lead with the product or the business, but you got to know you got to know what gets you excited, because when you talk about, what you're excited about, you're obviously going to be more attractive because you're more excited.
I'm smiling because I saw Val smile at that.
Yeah. Yeah, we know Val loves leading with the business. That's for sure.
I agree with her.
Yep, I do too. Let me see here. If somebody is just getting started and they're not making lots of money, how can they tell somebody that they can make lots of money?
That's where I was when I started. First of all, get your belief system up. And I think, Terry, that's a great segue for me to with your permission, kind of deviate from the direct question and go into something else that I wanted to share.
Sure, go
that
ahead.
I think will help the rest. So I kind of went through the hows, which everybody, when you're prospecting, that's what you want to know. Okay, how do I do this? What do I do? I was no different. I'm like, if there's no way that I can think of that with any credibility I can sell skincare. There's nobody who sees me walking down the street says, I bet that guy does skincare, and I need to know how I can be successful. And that's where I flew to Phoenix, Arizona to a regional because I heard that one of the best presenters in the company was doing the presentation there. I got a next day flight and flew out to Phoenix to that regional the day that I signed up just to see that. And I listened, and I talked to a lot of people. I just kept trying to boil it down. I was talking to Dale Williams. I was talking to Dennis Windsor. I talked to different people and trying to figure out how can I wrap my brain around this. And that's where I came up with that 1, 2, 3, create interest, get them to watch a video, do a 3-way call. And that is critical. But once you have that, that's so freaking simple. How long do we really need to spend on that? How much time do you need to spend on it? You know how to do it. You know it takes 5 minutes. You know now what to do. But way more critical than that is between your ears. That's your why, or maybe in your heart. But what your why is, what your reason is that you're really going to go for this, so that you're really going to do it. And, this time of year, a lot of us did New Year's resolutions. A lot of us didn't. But many of us thought about or can think about how we want 2016 to be different, how we want 2016 to be better. If you look and you evaluate what are your options and what are your opportunities to make that happen, for me personally, and probably for each of you, you see that Nerium gives you the best opportunity. From the stories that you hear, the people that you've met, the people that you've heard of having success, what you're able to do on this amount of an investment to what you're able to make, if you'll just put forth the effort and you'll do these things, you can do it. And once you have that belief system, once you know that you can do it, it takes a few, to me, very key things to making that happen. If you're gonna go gym, I saw Rick on here. Say, yep, there's Rick. Saw Rick here with Raylene. This is a professional football player. Any professional athlete, they track everything. They know how fast they're running. They know what their workouts are. They know how many hours or minutes they worked out doing this. They know what their weights were and how many reps that they did at each. I'm not good at the reps thing or the weights thing, but you guys get it.
They track everything.
But they know they track everything. They track exactly what they eat. They track everything. You got to do that with your business. You've got to track it. You've got to know how many exposures that you're actually doing. You've got to know how many new starts you had or how many new starts you have in your team if you have a larger team. New starts are an absolute key. One of the biggest challenges is we live in instantaneous gratification society. And me being ADD, I'm one of the worst at this. I'm all about getting results. I'm all about that instantaneous gratification. But what we've learned through this business, what I've learned, mainly through David Bird, is that there's about a 90-day delay. So your new starts this month, it takes about 90 days for you to really start seeing those in your check. And you've got to create momentum. You've got to have a lot of new starts. And you see a lot of new starts, you may see a good bump in your weekly check, but if you're not consistent about getting a whole lot more new starts the next week, a whole lot new starts the next week, a whole lot more new starts the next week, which that comes down to a whole lot of prospects, a whole lot of 3-way calls, a whole lot of videos going out, you're not going to get to the point where you're going to see that big bump in 90 days. It's going to be a little blip and then it's going to fall off. You've got to do the work necessary to have success. To be honest, this is the easiest freaking business in the world. You do a 90-day run. You do it hardcore. You create a lot of momentum for your team. You just do those 3 steps over and over and over. You teach them over and over and over. You get as many people doing them over and over and over. And in 90 days, 120 days, you'll be amazed at where you're at. But too many people do it. They get one person on, and that person doesn't do anything, doesn't do stuff the way that they hope that they would. And they basically are like, yeah, this isn't really working that much. Well, no, you didn't work it that much. I'm being real. I'm not being hard on you. It's the same conversation I'd be having with myself. And it's the same conversation I have to have with myself when I have the ups and downs too. If I'm in a little bit of a down cycle, it's like the first thing I have to do is look in the mirror. Then I have to go check my tracking sheets. What are my new starts? How many, not just in my team, but what have I personally been doing? And as I ramp that up, I get consistent with it, the better I do. We have great tools. We have tremendous tools. This is a Slide Edge business. Read the Slide Edge book. I have it on audio. I have it obviously in book form. I have the old version. I have the new version. I listen to it consistently. Now I listen to it like maybe twice a year. But I read that thing like 4 or 5 times in the first 4 or 5 months. I mean, it's a great book, and it got me doing the activities. The other is the Jim Rohn Building Your Network Marketing Business DVD. So I brought this as a little prop because I freaking love this thing. It goes back to the process that the very first question out of the gate asked. Well, how do you get somebody to give you their information if they're not willing to just give it to you right away the first time you ask? Well, he's like, hey, you got to build your skills. That's exactly what I'm saying. You got to build your skills. Don't beat the person up because they won't give you the information. You get better so that they want to give you their information. The book 3 Feet from Gold. It's based on the book Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. Great book. Go Pro by Eric Worre. Great book. When you look at the whys, how do you think about, which goes back to that question that Terry asked before I went on this rant. Before you've really had success, before you've really made the money, how do you talk to somebody about how much money they can make? Well, here's the thing. When I got started, my first 90 days, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I relied on the stories of the people who were in my upline, who were doing well, and I had such a belief that I was going to do well that that's what I shared. If you don't have that, you have to somehow get those questions answered to yourself, get it in your core that you're going to be successful. There's a reason that you're doing this. You're going to get off credit card debt. You're going to pay off your student loans. You're going to pay for your kids' college. You're going to pay off the house. You're going to do the things that you want to do. And when you get absolutely solid that you can do it and you will do it, then you'll do the activities. And that's what you share with people. And when they start doing those things, it starts compounding. It starts getting really, really fun. So what you read, what you listen to during your 90-day run is as critical as the things that you have to do to keep it going and your why as to why you're doing it, in my opinion.
That's fantastic.
And that belief will convey to who you're talking to. Doesn't matter that you're not making the money yet. They will see it, that there's no question you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. You will know in your mind there's no question you're going to be successful. So that belief system comes through. It's not about raw excitement. That gets annoying. But people can feel your belief. And you have to have that yourself first. If you don't have it yet and you're on this and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Take some time after this call. Go to a quiet space for 15, 20 minutes, longer if you need to. Do a real gut check with yourself. Why am I doing this? What do I want from it? What's it going to take for me to do it? If you're willing to pay the price, get after it. Another great book is Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I mean, he will beat you up in a great way about just not making excuses for yourself, taking massive action. And, I've kind of dropped some books on you that I absolutely love, but I would not be where I am if I weren't reading those and putting that into my brain, because the naysayers are far too easy to come from. And the greatest naysayer that you have in your life is probably your own subconscious. So you've got to quelch that by putting good information, great information into your brain and be focused on that and just take massive action.
I think that's it right there is protecting your own thinking and taking the action. And don't worry about what other people think of you, and just put it out there. And the ones who are interested and the ones who are looking are going to show up. And you never know when that's going to happen. I mean, I know I had somebody call me today that I haven't talked to probably in 4 months. And she said, I'm finally ready to get started. I'm like, where'd that come from? Happy New Year. But I said, I'll take it. But it's because it's that consistent relationship building and, having enough people in the pipeline that happens. So I want to see if anybody has any questions, because I do want to respect your time here, George. If you have any questions and you're muted, you can go like this, or you can unmute yourself and ask George a question. Adam's waving his hand there. Go ahead, Adam.
In the group chat.
Mom, don't touch that.
Hi, George.
Hi.
Oh,
Hey, what's up, bro?
how you doing? I just wanted to say
Doing well.
I wanted to say thank you very much for doing all my three-way calls and stuff. It's been great. You got me started on the right foot.
I have a
Good
question.
man. Good
Okay.
man.
This is Catherine. Can I ask a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay,
Okay,
see you later. I gotta go.
I really respect the information that you shared. It was so relevant and poignant for me as a newbie. And I'm kind of with you when you say next. So my question is sort of twofold. I had someone that I was key woman that I thought, oh wow, she'd be great, because I know she's a very strong leader and she has a great network. And when I spoke to her and talked to her a little bit about it, she said, oh, Catherine, a Nerium rep had already contacted me. I'm familiar with Nerium. Thank you so much. But basically it was bye-bye. And so because I know she's got a strong personality, I didn't push her. I said, okay, great. Hugs. I'll talk to you soon. So my next step, I just want to get your feeling or feedback on this, is even though she said she had a Nerium rep approach her, so she was familiar, but she was kind of letting me know I'm not interested. So my next thing is, okay, so you had a rep talk to you. Did you try the product? Because I'm not really I go with the business because it's about team building for me. That to me is more than the product will sell itself. How would you handle that?
How I handle things and how I recommend others handle them are usually two different answers. But since you asked how I would handle it, Catherine, you and I have spoke on the phone. Terry introduced us before.
Yeah.
Am I right? Do I have the right person in mind?
Yes. Yes, you are talking to that person.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I don't really pull too many punches. They kind of gave you a no blow off conversation,
Mm-hmm.
just like to kind of just say, hey, go away. But
Right.
I think you go back, you create more interest for them. Just say,
Yeah.
hey, I totally respect that you had talked to another rep in Nerium. But here's the thing. I know there's a lot of reps in Nerium. I'm working with the fastest growing team in Nerium. I'm working with a couple of the top leaders in the company. I told them about you. And if there's a time that we can set up for 15 minutes for me to introduce you, maybe get a couple of your questions answered, for you to see how much money you really can make here and how successful you really can be, not just talk to any rep in the company, but talk to a couple of the top earners here, would you be open to that conversation? So again, bottom line, I'm just making it about them, creating more interest for them, creating more value for them, and seeing if they come around. If they say no to that, then they're really not a prospect. You just have to say next. But you have respect for her. So start out with a sincere compliment. Hey, I know that you're a professional in the industry. I know that you've done very well in this. There are a few people here who are absolutely crushing it. As a matter of fact, I'm working with a couple of the top earners here in the company. I told them how successful you were and have been, and they're willing to spend a few minutes with you. And if they can answer some questions, we'd love to, see about getting you lined up here. Whatever's easy and natural for you.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. No, I like that approach. I pretty much cut through the chase. I don't want to waste time if you're not interested. And I want to also reiterate what you said about money. I got introduced to this when Nancy had you and I do a three-way call, and quite frankly, I didn't have the 500. When she talked to me, I didn't have the 250, to be honest. And when I went to the meeting in Richmond, and the other part for me is I want to know who was leading this. What was the leadership team about? And when I saw that and then started meeting some other members of the team, I sat there and I knew right then and there I was going to do it. And I made a commitment. And I said to Nancy on a Saturday, I said, I'm 90% sure I'm going to do this by the end of the day. The first commitment about the money has to come from you. And if you're really committed, you get creative. I mean, I got real creative. I made a commitment to myself. No, I don't have it. I'm going to get it. And if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen, whether you're borrowing 100 from 5 friends or whether you do something else, you have to want this. And I think you're absolutely right. When the person that you are prospecting doesn't make any investment from their pocket or from their efforts, there's no return on that. That's your money, that's your effort. I would say to people, if you want this bad enough, if you really want it, you will find a way to make it happen. If you see your child under a car, they have shown you where people pick up cars. It's a mindset. It's a mindset lining up with action and getting creative to get it done. If you come in like that and you stay with, like you said, be consistent and you keep doing it, you are your best prospect. And you have to say, and you have to do what's necessary to make it happen. I did it. When I made that commitment to Nancy, it was the middle of the day. I didn't know what I was going to do by the end of the day. Terry said to me early in the week, hey, Catherine, can you do this by Saturday? I said, anything's possible because I'm not a no person. But Saturday, I got it done. So I don't listen to the excuses. I'm back to what I've heard over the years from my mother, from my friends. Excuses are tools of the incompetent for people that seldom succeexceed. So
Okay,
no
Kat.
excuses.
All right, Kat, thank you so much for sharing that. I want to make sure that we do have some extra time for some other questions, but thank you for sharing that question. Good question. Who else has a question? Selena, did you have a question about multiple exposures? You're good. Okay. She just gave me a thumbs up, everybody. So
I just shot her over an answer. She asked a great question. She said, "Hey, George, you do multiple exposures and updates of how you're doing with the business with those who have turned it down." Yeah, I do, but it's not like I'm trying to call them a lot or touch base with them a lot or try and convince them a lot. More of those people, and again, these are people I legitimately care about. Good friends of mine who, for whatever reason, said no, but they're still friends. I'm still going to be in touch with them. I'm not going to keep hammering them over the head with Nerium. But if it's somebody who I would really love to do business with, for whatever reason, they've just said no, I'm going to, from time to time, just in our chat, say, hey, how's it going? You know what? You told me that you're doing this project. How's that working out for you? Or, how are things at work? Or whatever. I'm going to get more interested in them through doing that. They're going to ask me from time to time, how's it going? And I'm going to be real. With a prospect, the number one thing you do is create interest. You don't spill on them. You don't vomit on them. You don't give them too much information. They're going to ask me eventually, so how's it going with Nerium? And I will say something like this. Look, out of respect for your previous answer, I definitely don't want to, just give you too much information. But I can tell you it's honestly the best decision I've made. I'm super excited. I know that when the timing is better for you and you're in a great place, on a great run right now, but when the time is better for you, you've got to do this because you will absolutely crush it. And it's a lot of fun. I'm having a great time, but so glad to hear how things are going for you. And, just keep me posted on your success. I don't care if you ever do this, but if the time ever comes that you want to, I promise you I can set you up for success and we're going to have a lot of fun together. That's how I handle those things. I draw them in. I don't I don't push information on them. I don't tell them about, we just launched this new product. We just did this. We're just going to here. We're doing that. I try and keep the focus on them, because at the end of the day, nobody cares how much you know. This is something that I wrote down years ago. Nobody cares how much you know until they first know how much you care. If they know that you care about them, if they know that you have their best interest in mind, if they know that you love them and you just want them to be successful, they're going to do it because they trust you. But guess what? When they do that, that's when the game starts. That's not the end. That's not like, oh, I got them in. Trust me, you've put your integrity on the line. You've put your relationship with them on the line. You've done all these things. You better get to work with them. You better be telling them, yeah, you need to do RRPs and I'm going to be there. We need to get you on the phone. So we need to follow these steps. You need to be on at the Nerium U. Come over to my house. We're going to watch it together. You've got to join forces with them. The work doesn't end when you get them in. The work starts if you truly care about them and you really want them to be successful. So I guess at the end of the day, be careful about who you take that heartfelt approach with, because once you commit to that, you're committed. You better believe in them. You better really want to work with them. That's, quite honestly, there's people I don't really want to work with. I'm almost glad they said no. I mean, they were on my prospect list. I did it. And then I got to think about it. I'm like, man, I don't really want to be saddled up next to that one for the next 6 months running hard. And so it just depends. It's a sorting process. It is not a selling process. You're looking for great people you really want to work with.
So we have about 9 days left. Sherry White just reminded me, for prospecting and enrolling this month. Any last words of wisdom?
Is that from Sherry or from me?
Well, the question is for you. Sherry said we have 9 days left. The question is, any last words for closing the month strong, George?
Hey, you, Sherry, Val, Raylene, all awesome leaders. I think you all could give your answers on that too. But there's a lot of great stuff going on with Nerium right now. There's really the time to get started, to really help someone get started, is absolutely ideal. We're past the 15th of the month. Any volume that they do is going to roll over and count for next month too. We're going to be able to help them to get to iPad much easier and faster, because they get to count this month's volume, plus they get all those days next month. We're building into convention. We've just got so much going on that the sooner we can get some of these people in and we can really help them get going through their lists, get started on the simple 3-step process, doing the RRPs, plugging them in. That's the first of the year. A lot of people are reevaluating and saying, I never want to have a Christmas like I had last year. 2016, I want to be able to do this with my family. I want to have this time off work. I want to be able to do these things for Christmas. I want to have these bills paid. I don't want to be starting the year off waiting for my tax return. I want to be debt free. I want to do these things. They can do that with this company. This is a solid, proven company. We're just getting started international. We'll be announcing, my understanding, at least 4 new countries this year. And we're going to be bringing in new products. But what we did with one product only, and only in the United States, $100 million our first year is amazing. The second year, basically the same product, basically on the United States, $200 million. This company, we can keep things small because we have great quality. We have stuff that actually works. We have worldwide exclusivity. And this company is going to create more millionaires than any other company in the history of this industry in the next 5 years. And they've got to start someday. Today is not as good of a day to get started as yesterday was, but it's a lot better than tomorrow. They've got to get going, because if they don't make changes right now and get in and do something, then what they've experienced is just going to continue to repeat, and it's not going to change. So if they're serious about doing something different so that 2016 is a much better year than 2015, 14, 13, 12 for them, they've got to get in. They've got to get started. We've got a great team. We really care about our team, and we are setting people up for success. If they'll get in, they'll just follow the system.
Well, George, I want to say thanks so much for taking some time away from your families on a Sunday night. Appreciate you. Appreciate your leadership. We really appreciate your character and your integrity, because you probably said it at least 5 times, that you tell it like it is. You are no hype, no BS, and I, for one, certainly appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody on the call does as well. And that's probably one of the best examples of leadership for us to follow. So, Nerium Cowboy, I appreciate you, love you and your family, and I look forward to seeing you real soon in St. Louis,
Thanks,
along with everybody here. So I'm going to
love y'all.
All righty.
Thanks, George.
All right, bye for now. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
George.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.